So this is week 4 of my marathon training plan for the Dublin and Florence marathons, and this week was a little bit different than the previous 3. So this is what's known as a deload week. So basically I spent 3 weeks building up the workouts that I'm doing, and the intensity of the work was quite high. So what you want a deload week for is to basically give your body the ability to recover from that work, and that's how you actually gain the benefits. So if you think about it, the training is the stimulus, and then the recovery is what allows your body to adapt and be able to do that again in the future, and that's how you actually gain the benefits from all the training that you're doing. So in this case I did 3 weeks heavy work and then 1 week deload. So for the week I just basically reduced my mileage, took 2 of the intensive days out. So I did 1 quite intense day and 1 kind of mid-range day for this week, and I'll go through that now as we go on. So on the Monday to begin the week I didn't do a run at all. I took the complete day off from running and instead replaced it with a swimming session. So I went to the pool and did 1700 meters. Did this mostly in 200 meter increments. So swimming is a great way to kind of keep maintaining fitness and building fitness while not really putting any load on the body. So it's quite a good one, and that's why I brought it in, and I'll be using that now in cross training throughout the plan. So then on Tuesday back into the running, and it was a 17 kilometer session, again done at recovery pace, so mid 5-minute pace for me, low 130 beats per minute heart rate. It was quite a cold day, so that's why you see me wearing all those layers there that I'm showing off, but it's also because it's a recovery week. I'm just trying to keep the muscles warm and not take any risks of injuries or anything like that. So then later in the evening after my run, just jumped on the indoor bike for the first half of the Ireland match while I was watching that. So just again an extra free bit of fitness with very low impact on the body, and yeah, just a good way to pass the time while watching the match and still be gaining the benefit. So I'm not using any kind of resistance from the trainer here. It's just kind of kept at a stable level, and yeah, I'm just basically focusing on just keeping the heart rate going, just build up a bit of fitness but not actually bring any fatigue into the body or anything. It's just a nice light session. So then on Wednesday back out running, again nice easy recovery pace in the mid 5 minutes, same kind of heart rate range. This time I did 18 kilometers, so I was kind of mixing up distances just to not kind of let the muscles settle on a certain distance or a certain route. So it's just good to mix things up like that, but again just all done at recovery pace. So there'll be a little fitness gains by kind of doing longer distances. I usually do my recovery runs for about 15 kilometers, but there's no harm in adding the extra few on during the deload week, because again I'm not doing too much intensive work. So that's why this one's a bit of a different distance than usual, but yeah, either way a comfortable pace and not very much fatigue built into the body. So Thursday as usual went to the track to do my threshold session. This time was a little bit different. I had to cycle out instead of driving out today, so there was a little bit of extra fatigue built in kind of getting out to the track. So to make this work I basically changed how I usually eat, and I did a video on that, so there's a YouTube short on that, and also on my TikTok, which is the same name if you want to check them out. So that's how I fueled the session. So it was basically like a 12.5 kilometer cycle out to the track, so kind of a bit of a warm-up built into that, I suppose. I kept it at a low heart rate. Wasn't trying to go faster, and I was just wanting to get there without building any real fatigue into the body. So then the actual threshold session was did a 2k warm-up, then 10 reps of 1k, which is 2.5 laps of the track, and I was doing this at my threshold pace, so kind of around 3 minutes 30 per kilometer per each, so that's 3 minutes 30 for each rep as well, and then I was giving myself a 75-second rest in between. So the rest in between, you can walk it, you can stop altogether, and what I like to do is just a nice slow jog for the 75 seconds, and then I kind of build back into my pace. There's different ways that you can do this as well. So a lot of people would say if you run your actual session, so for this example it's my 1 kilometer reps, if I run them for example 4 minutes, some people say okay, take half of that as your rest, so that would be 2 minutes. In this case I'm running for about 3 minutes 30 and I'm taking 75 seconds rest. If someone was incorporating these into their training as a new person to it, you would probably take longer rest than this, and you might do the walk rest instead of a jog. But overall what you want to do is rest for as minimal time as you can to be sure that you'll finish the rep each time. So after the session, it was another cycle back home, and then later on in the evening, it was another threshold session. So this session was a 2k warm up and then 4 reps of 1 mile with a 2-minute rest in between. So overall, I did about 16 kilometers of threshold work this day, so that's quite good. And it would have been more difficult to do all that in one go. So it's just a little bit more efficient, and there are also is other benefits. I'll do a video on double sessions one of the days, but you do get, for example, 2 doses of human growth hormone, which is something that allows your body to adapt to your training and gain the benefits. So there's definitely benefits from doing double sessions. So then moving on to Friday, the first session of the day was a swim at lunchtime. So covered a kilometer in this swim, so I was swimming for about 19 minutes. And again, just nice easy recovery for the body, keeps the body in action and gets the blood flowing, but not really building any fatigue. So something like swimming after a heavy day like I had the day before is always going to be pretty good, and yeah, just help recovery while you're still building a bit of fitness. So this was followed up later on in the evening with a recovery run, so 15 kilometers this time, again at the usual paces and the usual heart rate. So quite a low impact, but basically I'm trying not to totally reduce how much I run this week, even though it's a deload week. So you want to keep most of your days active, but just less intense, and a couple of days rest is good for the body as well. So then Sunday was kind of the big run of the week, so I did 28 kilometers overall, and the idea was to not build too much fatigue into this, but also to give me a good Sunday long run basically. So we're still trying to prepare the body to run a marathon, so we're still trying to do our long runs. So I didn't want to totally cut the long run out, so I made this one a bit of a hybrid session. So I did the first half at my usual kind of light recovery pace, so that's 14 kilometers of easy running. Follow this up with a 14 kilometer progressive run back, and the run back was actually a bit uphill as well, so it kind of made it a tougher run. So that's kind of given me a good stimulus and a bit of intensity to the run. So during this progression, I kind of started off running just below 5 minutes per kilometer and brought that down kind of each kilometer by a few seconds, and ultimately the last 4 or so kilometers I'm running at sub 3 hour pace. So that should be not too difficult of a pace for me, because I'm aiming to go a good bit quicker than that in the actual marathon itself, but it's a good pace to run for a run like this. So the idea of running this progressive run is to kind of finish faster than you start, which is something that's quite good for marathon training, because ideally what we want on marathon day is to be able to run quite fast in our last few kilometers. So the ideal racing strategy is going to be to start off running slower than I plan to average throughout the marathon, and for the last few kilometers to be able to push my pace on a little bit. So basically I'm going to try to conserve my energy as much as I can to begin with, and over the rest of the marathon I'm going to use that extra energy that I've saved. The idea of this is that usually people kind of blow up a bit in the marathon, so I'm just trying to avoid that. So I'm building things like this into my training to try help with that. So I thought an interesting way to end this video would be to discuss a bit more about the deload week. So the watch that I use is Coros Pace, and the watch feeds into the Coros website, which gives you a lot of extra data and stuff that you can use in your training. So this is one aspect of that data, which is called training load. So it shows what an ideal amount of training would be, which is the shaded blue area, and then that blue line is the actual amount of training load that I've done. So each run I do through the week will create a training load score based on the intensity, the distance, the time, my heart rate, all these sort of factors involved. So what you can see is that I've done sort of a 3-week build, and you can sort of see the incremental increases each week, and then the 4th week it's recommending me to do a drop in intensity. It's just a recommendation by the app, but I had already kind of planned to do in my 3rd or 4th week of deload week, so I took it to go in line with the plan that my watch was recommending. So it's just to show that basically I've kind of held pretty well in terms of the load I generated for the week compared to what the watch recommended for me. I'm not feeling tired or anything, so I think I did quite well. And you can see I did go just a little bit over the recommendation, but again, you kind of know your own body. The devices like this are just given recommendations based on data, but it's not definitely specific to you. So I would say use the data, but also trust what you feel with your own body. So that's this week's video. Let me know your thoughts, and thanks for everyone for watching.